Right now at 5, a man from Coffeyville is sentenced for involuntary manslaughter. Plus, a Missouri man is sentenced to multiple terms of life in prison for child sex crimes. And
Chief Justice John Roberts is calling for an investigation following a draft leak opinion that suggests the Supreme Court may be prepared to overturn Roe v. Wade. I'm Skyler Henry outside the nation's high court with reactions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. A Coffeyville man will spend less than 3 years in prison for a shooting death. This is KOAM News at 5. A judge has sentenced Ruben Ruiz Robles to a maximum of 32 months for the April 2021 death of Chris Temple in Coffeyville. As part of a deal, Ruiz Robles pleaded no contest to involuntary manslaughter in the case. The prosecutor dropped the original charge of first-degree murder after 2 key witnesses chose not to testify on the state's behalf. A judge in Jasper County sentences a man to multiple terms of life in prison for child sex crimes. Daniel Chavez was found guilty of 4 counts of statutory sodomy, 1 count of child molestation, 1 count of attempted statutory sodomy, and 2 counts of furnishing pornographic material to a minor. All 4 of the statutory sodomy charges carry a life sentence. The rest of the sentences will run concurrent to those sentences. Shockwaves are reverberating throughout Washington and the nation after a leaked document shows the U.S. Supreme Court may be planning to overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade abortion decision. The leak regards a pending case of a Mississippi state law that bans abortions after the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. Today, President Biden said returning the issue to the states would be a fundamental shift. Skyler Henry reports from the Supreme Court.
Abortion saves lives!
Demonstrators stood outside of the U.S. Supreme Court for hours after Politico published a bombshell draft opinion from February that could reverse the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion. In it, Justice Samuel Alito wrote, "It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives."
It is certainly a decision that needs to be handed back to the states.
I think women should maintain the right to choose and have autonomy over their own body.
President Biden says if the draft opinion stands, it would be, quote, a radical decision.
If the rationale of the decision as released were to be sustained, the whole range of rights are in question.
Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement calling the February released document authentic, but he adds it doesn't represent a final decision from the court. That is expected in late June or early July. It's unclear how Justice Roberts will decide, though it appears the High Court's other conservative justices are poised to side with Alito, or they could also change their minds.
If it goes in the direction that this leaked copy has indicated, it rocks my confidence in the court right now.
We know history is on our side, and we're determined to preserve the precious rights that are the bedrock of this great nation.
Congressional Democrats have vowed to take a vote on abortion rights legislation, and they say overturning Roe v. Wade could have major implications for the upcoming midterm elections. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the Supreme Court.
President Biden has also called on Congress to pass a law codifying the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, but it would face an uphill battle in the evenly divided U.S. Senate. Some Democrats have again reignited calls to abolish the 60-vote threshold or filibuster rule to push it through, but such a move would face bipartisan opposition. Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas are among 13 states that have so-called trigger bans in place, meaning that abortion will almost immediately be banned if Roe is no longer in effect. We saw a relatively cloudy day, but calmer day. Nick Kelly joining us.
Yeah, a good chance to dry out too, Chris, after the rain and storms we dealt with last night, and even going back toward Friday. We just had so much rain inundating the grounds, but unfortunately more rain's on the way. But it's not for this evening, even though the cloud cover from 7th and range line might suggest it. We're not anticipating any rain for this evening. However, our next storm system already brewing out to the west, resulting in some higher elevation snow across the northern Rockies and some rain across the western parts of Colorado. That is the next system on the way in, but in the meantime, Mid to upper 50s to a couple spots near 60. So we did warm up some given the cloud cover today. And it's going to be a slow drop of temperatures this go around. We'll fall through the 50s throughout the course of the evening, down into the mid to upper 40s for tomorrow morning. Chris will break down the rain chances to come and if any possible severe threats are on the way here in a few.
Nick, thank you. A McDonald County Elementary School is working to increase enrollment of preschoolers and kindergarten-age children. White Rock Elementary in Pineville says kindergarten enrollment is down this year compared to most years. Now, teachers are reaching out to parents of young kids to make sure their students are enrolled. School officials say it's important to know class sizes early so educators can plan ahead.
Catch issues that are going on in pre-K before they get to kindergarten, and we can help solve some of the problems that we might see in kindergarten. It's also just important to have them come into a setting where they can learn to sit, follow directions, play with others, share, some of the things that sometimes kids who don't have siblings don't have to do normally.
Experts also say kids in early childhood education programs usually have improved social skills and do better in school. Well, this week marks the start of National Tourism Week. One of the main tourist attractions in the country is Route 66. Today, a tourist group of 25 people from the Czech Republic stopped in Joplin today touring Route 66. Their trek started in Illinois and will end in Santa Monica, California.
This is National Tourism Week, and we've had some great visitors come in this week, and a lot of them come through along Route 66. And pre-pandemic, we were seeing about 12 to 15,000 Europeans a year come across Route 66.
Tonight at 6, we'll hear from their tour guide who's made this journey over 30 times. Well, after the forecast, National Association of Realtors says homes got even pricier and harder to afford. And next in Healthwatch, a study suggests more adolescents are using more mental health services. Topping today's Health Watch, a study in JAMA Pediatrics suggests more adolescents are using school mental health services. The survey of more than 165,000 adolescents after the 2018 Parkland school shooting found increases in using mental health services at school in 2019 compared to previous years. The increases were greatest among Black adolescents and adolescents from low-income families. New research shows a link between food marketing and increases in food intake, choices, preferences, and requests for purchases in children and adolescents. The analysis of 96 studies is published in JAMA Pediatrics. The authors of the study say the findings support policies to limit children's exposure to marketing. Hundreds of bacteria are active in our intestines. Good bacteria aids in digestion, but there are harmful bacteria that have the potential to make us sick. The collection of both types of bacteria makes up our gut microbiome. Our overall health is affected by this microbiome, and now researchers believe there's a connection between gut health and skin cancer treatments. KOAM's Now Quick has the details.
Your gut's microbiome has a lot more control when it comes to your overall health than you may think.
They are dynamically interacting with our physiology, with our moods, with our medical health.
Researchers at Oregon State University confirmed that changes to the gut microbiome in melanoma patients allowed them to respond better to their cancer treatment. In their study, some of their patients showed either tumor reduction or disease stabilization that lasted for more than a year. An observational study also found a link between high dietary fiber and better responses to immune therapy for melanoma. So, how do you maintain better gut health?
High fiber, low sodium diets, and certain kinds of food groups can promote good guy bacteria.
Sources of fiber include oats, barley, nuts and seeds, peas, avocado, oranges, and Brussels sprouts. The ideal amount of fiber a person should have a day is 25 to 30 grams. People who tend to eat foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains that are high in fiber report better gut health. Now Quick, KOAM News.
Stress can have a negative impact on your gut microbiome. Probiotic supplements can help support your microbiome. However, it's important to talk to your doctor before choosing one since there are many on the market. And researchers at UCLA say affirmative action bans can have a devastating impact on diversity in U.S. medical schools. Study looked at states with bans and found the number of students from underrepresented racial and ethnic minority groups in public medical schools dropped by more than 1/3 over 5 years after bans went into effect. That's a look at today's health news. A little later, the federal government reports a record 4.5 million workers quit their jobs last month.
Plus, we got a chance to dry out today, but more rain ready to work on in. We'll time it out for you next. Even with quite a bit of cloud cover, we kept things pretty dry for much of the day, and we needed to after not only the rain and storms we dealt with yesterday evening and last night, but also back on Friday. We just had so much rain that we'll take any dry time that we can get. Thankfully, dry time we're still seeing plenty of from our live shot of indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. On the other hand of the equation, though, the cloud cover certainly had an impact on temperatures. We did see, before the storms really ramped up and the cold front came on through yesterday, highs pushing into the mid to almost upper 60s around Joplin Regional. Then we tanked into the upper 40s this morning, and so far all we could do today was top out in the mid to upper 50s across much of the area. I do have the storms, unfortunately, lined up again for tomorrow. Going into Thursday, some strong to possibly severe storms we'll be keeping an eye on as well. But after all of that, we're going to be treated to a nice weekend, a big warm-up on the way too for the Mother's Day weekend. Before sticking with Doug's pattern, we see our next best shot for severe weather after this coming system by about next Tuesday, or at the very least early next week. Quiet for now and dry for now with plenty of cloud cover up top and 7th of range line. We're at 56 with the north breeze at 9 miles per hour. Most of us are in the mid to upper 50s, but you can see a couple of spots like Nowata, Sedan, Fredonia, at least at topping out around 60 degrees so far. But as long as the cloud cover stays in relative control, we're not going to drop off very much in terms of temperatures throughout the evening. We'll eventually fall through the 50s down to the mid to upper 40s as we go into your Wednesday morning. But as we go into Wednesday morning, another change in the setup thanks to Mother Nature. You see this warm front to the south and the next cold front out west. That's the next system at the surface on the way. And the next upper level low across northern Utah. All that is going to come together to give us thunderstorm chances, not only starting tomorrow morning, but in periods throughout the day tomorrow, but maybe a chance for strong to a low severe threat of thunderstorms going into late Wednesday. If we saw any thunderstorms turn strong to severe, the best timing for that would be 7 o'clock tomorrow evening until about 3 a.m. going into Thursday. And with this setup, thankfully, we're keeping that tornado threat pretty minimal, but we're watching for hail, wind, and like it or not, more heavy rain potential with these rain chances on the way. Again, though, if you're worried about this evening, we don't need to be. We're dry for the evening hours, but heading toward the morning drive, we'll see some scattered showers try to pick up in our southern counties first. And then ahead of the approaching system, we'll see a good band of rain and thunderstorms work on through. These should not be severe, but they can be a bit strong. And despite the on and off periods of rain and thunderstorms, I do think that with some dry time, we're going to try to do a little bit better in terms of temperatures tomorrow. 47 in the morning, 55 by noon, highs around 62. Then we'll keep an eye on this band of storms that will work on through. That could be some strong, possibly severe storms. We'll clear that out for Thursday morning, but then before the cold front works on through, we'll deal with another shot for storms as we go into Thursday. All of these rain chances, though, it's just rain that we don't need. So by the time we get the system out of here by Friday, there's going to be another 1 to almost 4 inches of rain if this run of the rain tracker plays out. Thankfully, though, we will dry out just in time for the weekend. 67 on your Friday after we top out your 72 on Thursday. 79 Saturday, 85 for Mother's Day. Warm first weekend of May coming up for us, Chris, before we have to head back towards severe weather chances by next Tuesday.
It's certainly, we talked about this over the weekend. We've got a busy pattern coming up, and something I talked to Michael Hayslip about on the morning shows is that turn around, don't drown. With all this heavy rain, it doesn't take a lot for those low water crossings to get covered.
Yeah, flash flooding or flooding in general, if it's not the top killer in terms of weather, it's right up there. So you have to be very careful for that.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you so much. Well, hey, take a look at this. This is our tower camera. It is sponsored by R.E. Smith Constructionists as his work continues on the KOAM More Power project. If you'd like to learn more about this particular project, and I know you do, you can head over to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com/power. Well, coming up, home prices continue to rise, but first, we take time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Sergeant William Johnston served in the Army during World War II and took part in the Battle of the Bulge, his hometown, Veneta. We're proud to recognize Sergeant William Johnston, tonight's four-state hero. National Association of Realtors says homes got even pricier and harder to afford in most U.S. cities in the first quarter of 2022. Group says of 185 metro areas tracked, 70% saw double-digit growth in median home prices compared to the same quarter a year before. Overall, the median price of a single-family home in the U.S. was just over $368,000 in the first quarter, up 15.7% from a year earlier. With higher home prices and higher mortgage rates, affordability took a big hit. Monthly mortgage payment on a typical existing single-family home with a 20% down payment rose to $1,383. That's up 30% from a year ago. The Great Resignation continues and is hitting new highs. As Naomi Ruckham reports, millions of Americans are leaving jobs and looking for something better.
Lucas Lind worked full-time in architectural design for 7 years, but his passion was focused elsewhere.
I'd always really enjoyed photography.
It started as a side hustle, and then Lind became a freelancer on Fiverr, which connects workers with businesses around the world.
The variety of clients is huge. The work started rolling in, and before I knew it, I was able to kind of just quit my full-time job.
A new report shows 4.5 million Americans quit or changed jobs in March, a new record.
Why are so many people quitting?
A record number of people quitting their jobs is indicative of the high level of confidence that people have about the strength of the job market.
Mark Hamrick from Bankrate.com says the strength of employment can be seen in the latest data, showing there are 11.5 million job openings, the highest number ever recorded. Couple that with low unemployment, and there are almost 2 job openings for every person who is unemployed.
Firms are having to pay up, whether it's to keep existing workers, provide more generous benefits, or to pay more to lure new job candidates into those positions.
But quitting doesn't work out for everyone. In a recent survey, about 1 in 5 people who resigned during the pandemic regretted it. Many say they didn't properly weigh the pros and cons. But Lind has no regrets.
It feels like I'm building my own business, which is a much different feeling than when you're working for somebody else.
Experts believe Americans will continue to look for better jobs as long as employment stays strong. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
On Friday, the Labor Department releases the latest jobs report, which is expected to show another 400,000 new jobs in April. That would make 12 straight months of 400,000 or more. Amazon has made 2 policy changes for U.S. employees. The company will pay up to $4,000 to cover expenses for workers who need to travel at least 100 miles to receive certain medical treatments, including elective abortions. The tech giant is also ending its COVID-19 paid sick leave policy, telling employees they now have 5 days of excused unpaid time off to use instead. SpaceX has some competition in the rocket recycling business. California-based Rocket Labs captured a falling rocket out of the air with a helicopter. The booster sent 34 satellites into space before falling back to Earth, deploying a parachute before a cable dangling from the helicopter grabbed it. It was a partial success. The chopper dropped the rocket into the ocean shortly after capture. We got a final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is up next. Then on KOAM News at 6, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt signs a bill banning abortions when a fetal heartbeat is detected. Plus, staff members at Meadowlark Elementary in Pittsburgh are showing their appreciation for one another. And a Pitt State wide receiver has earned his spot in the NFL. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Okay, this is one I couldn't do. A man was arrested Tuesday in San Francisco after he scaled a nearly 1,100-foot building. Police say they were alerted about the man climbing Salesforce Tower shortly before 9:30 in the morning. They saw him climbing up the side wearing climbing gear. Surrounding streets were then closed and people were asked to stay clear of the area. He was taken into custody after reaching the top. I am terrified of heights. I stand on a small platform to make myself tall enough for this desk, and that's high enough as it is, but I mean, I can't imagine climbing something like that.
Well, no, like you shouldn't feel too bad though, because if I'm filling in for the morning and Tanya's wearing boots, I need the box.
She wears some big boots, so
hey, she can rock the boots.
That she can. She can. Something else we're rocking is maybe some more storm chances and heavy rain.
Yeah, and maybe a low severe threat tomorrow evening and night. It all depends on how the rain chances during the day tomorrow will play out. But I still think we can get close to 62 tomorrow, 72 Thursday. Then the storm system knocking on the door will clear out after Friday morning.
Something to keep an eye on. Nick, thank you. That is our time for now. CBS Evening News is next. We'll be back here at 6. Thanks for making us part of your night.